Good afternoon and welcome to Reading Room right here on Freedom Square TV. Right here on Reading Room, this is the space where we don't just talk about books, we explore the minds behind them. And before we dive into today's conversation, I want to speak directly to school owners, parents, administrators, caregivers, government bodies, churches, and educators watching us right now. We've been talking about raising young readers and building a strong reading culture among children and adults. But let's be honest, children cannot love books if they don't have access to them. A school without a library is like a mind without nourishment. If you would love to set up a functional, well-equipped library in your school, a space where children can actually explore, imagine, and grow, this is your opportunity. You could partner with Arsenal Publishers to establish a structured, impactful school library that will transform learning in your institution. So give your students more than classrooms, give them access to knowledge. So for inquiries, there's a number that will be displayed on the screen. You could call Arsenal Publishers today and take the first step towards building readers and future leaders. My name is Lilian Ezinwa, and let's get into today's program. Today's conversation is particularly special because we are hosting not just a writer, we're also hosting a thinker, an author whose works reflect intention, reflection, and intellectual depth. He's also an award-winning broadcast journalist with over 15 years of extensive experience in both radio and television. And he's also my boss. He has written multiple books, and today we'll be examining not only his latest work, but also his journey as a reader, as a writer, and a voice of influence. So I need you to join me to welcome Uche Umah Gabriel. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome to Reading Room.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the program where we get to talk about books that you must own and read, right? And we get people who are authors, people who love reading, to actually come on the show to talk about what reading means to them. So I will start with that. What does reading means to you?
Okay. Reading is mental exercise, one. Reading is food for my mind and my soul. Reading gives me things to ruminate on. You must have some thoughts, and those thoughts come from what I read. And one sentence in a book can just stimulate your thoughts in different directions. That's what books do for me. It's also a form of recreation. It relaxes you. Incidentally, the reading culture is abysmally low, but then nobody can operate above their level of knowledge, and books are stores of knowledge. So reading is all of this for me.
Okay, so what role has reading actually played in your personal and professional growth?
Now, reading is, to me, mental exercise. And so when I read, what I'm challenging myself. When you hear people say that education is a leveler, what it means is that whether you're born poor, born exposed, or not born poor, whatever, you can begin to level with those who are significant in society. So sometimes people hear me talk, people hear me speak, they think maybe I went to the best of schools. But it's because I took interest in reading. And if what you're reading here in Nigeria is what someone who is in New York is reading, you are at par with that person, okay? If what you are exposed to, because that's what knowledge does, knowledge exposes you to what's up. Okay, so in my professional career, if you're going to be a good broadcaster, you must deal with information. Basically, you can't inform people if you're not informed. Okay, and for you to get informed, you must open the pages of books.
Yeah.
And so when you come into broadcasting, you see people who are just doing the basic minimum. You see also people who go the extra mile. They read up, they study, okay? And there's nothing you want to do in this life that does not have a body of knowledge around it. You want to be an engineer, there are things you need to know. Even as a content creator, you have a lot of things to learn. So, and it's only when you, so in my professional career, I've distinguished myself to a reasonable extent because I read. I read. Okay, so if there's an issue, I read it up. I see all the different angles to it, and then you present it in a more intelligent manner. And incidentally, radio is also challenging because some of the people you're talking to know as well as you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then as you interact with them, you are also getting polished. Okay, so it's all about admiration for knowledge, appreciation for knowledge. If you appreciate knowledge, then your life gets appreciated as well.
Okay, you said something when you started that reading has actually reduced. People no longer read. That's also adds to the fact that in this fast-paced digital world, reading is relevant, but at the same time, a lot of people don't do that. Okay, they don't like to read. So, what kind of books shaped your thinking the most?
Okay, when I started, of course, we all went to school, so we read things like Eze Goes to School, we read things like Things Fall Apart, we read things like The Lonely Londoner. There were so many schools, Animal Farm and all of that. But then growing up, I began to, because I was in search of success, I wanted to succeed. I wanted to rise above poverty. And so you start exposing yourself to books like Think and Grow Rich, other success titles. And then as you read them, you try to do what they expect of you because we live in a fast-paced world, like you rightly pointed out. But you see, I think it is basically about what we place significance on. If you understand what you're missing by not reading, I mean, you cannot be too busy to read. Nobody's too busy to read. You still see people who run very busy schedule, but you catch them at the airport, they are reading. There are people who are always with a book, okay? So whether they are soft copy or they are hard copies, they are always with a book. You must have flown in a plane. You see a lot of people reading.
Yeah.
So okay, but then the fact that it's fast paced is not an excuse. I think it's basically about our level of exposure and what we consider important. Reading, they say, reading is to the mind what physical exercise is to the body. Okay, so nobody has an excuse unless you just don't want to grow.
Okay, so we know you've written several books, and every author has an origin story. First compelled you to write. Was it conviction? Was it observation? Was it out of frustration? Or because you just wanted to write because you want to solve a problem or purpose? Which?
Okay, I think it's a bit of many of it. There are books that will have come first, but the one that eventually came first was Learning to Learn, Developing a Reading Culture. And the reason was I asked myself, okay, if people don't read, so why are you writing? Okay, so maybe we have to cure them of that disease
of not reading.
They say when you want to hide anything from a black man, which I think is derogatory, you put it in a book. And I hope we can disprove that. But largely, most people will rather you pray for them than they read. And that shows you where we are. But I am a witness that you could attend the most rural of schools, and in the most detached environment. As long as you read, you will square up. You will square up. It's difficult for people to it's difficult for people to believe that as I stand right now, I don't have a degree yet. Maybe in 2 years I'll have one, but I don't have a degree yet. But that's because of my early exposure to books. There's what it does to your psyche. It changes you. Okay, so a lot of people are not, they don't want to do anything with their lives. So that's why they will give you excuses about how busy they are. You're not busier than anybody. If you want to read, you will make out time. Now, nobody is too busy. It's just like somebody says, the reason I can't see you is because I'm too busy. No, no, no. The person does not consider you worthwhile enough, important enough. Because we make our time for whatever we consider important. So now, and most times people are overwhelmed by the issue of volume. Volume of what you read. Volume is not as necessary as consistent. So if I read 10 minutes every day, it's better than I read 3 hours once a week, but I'm not consistent. So before you start talking about volume of what you've read, conquer that inertia. There's this inertia that comes with reading. But it is the worst thing you can do to yourself. Because it's like there's knowledge all stored up in these books, but you're not opening it. Books don't read themselves.
Somebody will have to.
Unless you're talking about audiobooks right now, which a lot of Gen Zs opt for. They opt for the ones over here because they don't want to flip the pages. So I had to write that one first to cure, to a large extent, a lot of people have read the book and they say, okay, I now have started reading. Because I made an argument in the book. One, benefits of reading. Then, of course, one of the quotes there is that if you can read, but you don't read, you're not any better than someone who cannot read. Okay, so you see, a lot of people can read, but they don't read, then they become like illiterates. An illiterate is someone who cannot. It's not, even if you want to read, but you cannot read, you end up not reading. But now, what about those of us who at least we have basic literacy? Are we deploying it? Because now, like I said earlier, if you pick a piece of information that somebody in New York is enjoying, you are on the same mental wavelength with that person. You are as current as that person. And knowledge is universal. That means whatever that knowledge enables that person to do in New York or in UK or in Lagos, it can help you to do that right here in Enugu. So we rob ourselves if we don't read.
So as you look at your earlier works, because you have so many of them, and you compare them with this current one, which we're going to talk about shortly, how would you say your thinking has evolved?
Yeah, my thinking has evolved, not in terms of the books, because each of the books was solving a problem. After the book launch, I hope to do a review of the first two, and then add some stuff, and then republish. Okay? The first one was about reading culture, basically, which we're also going to relaunch because we want to go to the schools and encourage young people to read. Don't get too busy that you cannot read. Second book was on love, lessons on love, basically about relationships. And what I tried to prove was relationship is not just about romance. Relationship is the currency on which this world runs. I would do certain things for you because we are in a relationship. And it doesn't mean we are married or we are dating. It simply means that we have something in common. We are related. Sadly, a lot of people are related, but they are not related. Okay, so yeah, I could in the office, for instance, we are all related by virtue of the fact that we work in the same place.
Office, yeah.
Good. But then there are people you're close to. There are people you check up on. There are people you call. You have cousins that you've not spoken to in the last 5 years.
Exactly.
Because there's a biological connection, but there's no functioning relationship between you and them. In fact, you could stretch it. There are friends that are closer to you than your
brother.
biological siblings.
Exactly.
Okay, that's why probably the Holy Book says there's a brother that sticks closer than there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Okay, so that's what relationship is all about. Now, I am here because of relationship. Now, and I've seen a lot of things happen. This launch that will happen on Saturday, I've seen a lot of things happen that will have only happened by virtue of relationship. There's no radio in Enugu and TV that I've not been on. And I'm not there because, okay, I've been a veteran. No. There are veterans that will not get that opportunity. It's a relationship thing. Okay, and then you wake up to alerts. You wake up to people supporting you. My immediate family probably have not given me a dime, but then you see people, like somebody I've not met. I woke up a few days ago and I saw over 200K.
Wow.
And it has to do with relationships. Okay, from the hall, I got it at the price I got it because of relationship. And then all the other things, people are rallying around you. So success is good relationships at every level.
Okay. So do you write because you have something to say, or because you feel something must actually be documented? Is that the reason?
I think it's a combination of both. They say before you die, write something that is worth reading, or do something that is worth writing about. Okay, I want to do both. I want to answer to questions. In fact, you get to a point where you believe that you can help people solve their problems. I'm at that point right now. I didn't used to believe. I was like, everybody learn whatever you can learn and move on. But now, so for me, it's not just about selling books. It's also about selling solutions. Okay. So I've struggled like everybody else. Okay. And it's not been easy. But then you get to a point where you understand how these things work. And that's what I wrote in this last book. Anybody can use, and I tell people it's not just a book, it's a system that reiterates eternal principles. I mean, if you see anybody who has ever made it, now some people are applying it unconsciously without knowing what they are applying. But you cannot see anybody who succeeded who did not apply these 5 major principles as enunciated in the book.
Okay. So what kinds of books actually shaped your philosophy? Is it literature? Is it biography? Is it strategy? Is it social commentary?
I will say motivational books. Autobiographies fall into that, because when you read about someone, and even after now, and I'm going to invest a lot into autobiographies of people who inspire me, people who motivate me, because one story of a great person and how they did what they did can just be all you need to revolutionize you. Okay, so that's basically it. I read a lot of motivational books growing up. There's a set of books I want to buy. A Nigerian author, Judge Emetuche, Judge is into sales.
Okay.
They call him the selling champion. And that's one of the titles of a book. In a few days, I'll be paying for about 3 of them. And he'll be in Enugu, maybe somewhere around 28. We hope to bring him to Solid FM. But that's to show you the kind of thing you read. If I read it, it begins to change. Like, I feel that I will be awesome if I become a better salesperson. So somehow I feel that way. So I imagine myself improving in that area. So what do? Pack all the books you can and begin to consume them. Something will just click. And then you suddenly understand sales. And this sales can be applied where I work, in my life, in everything I do. Because at the end of the day, you want to sell. We all should be thinking about how to sell. We sell ourselves, we sell what our products. So the better. So that's the attitude I have about reading. Reading is like, walking into a hospital, and the pharmacist, after the doctor has seen you, prescribes drugs for you. So if I sense I'm sick in a particular area, like I've just told you, I'm not a very good salesperson. But you see, someone someone like Ify Melody is a very good salesperson. She does not care being in your face. Okay, some of us, because of the way we were brought up, we have that's how I decide the book I go for per time.
Okay, now let's talk about this particular book we have here, which is Tweak It.
Tweak It.
And why this book?
I'm excited to talk about it, very excited. One, because there are two reasons it's called Tweak It. One, tweak is what you do to a machine or to anything to improve the performance of that stuff. So if your car is not, let's say the car is not moving as fast as it should, the mechanic does some tweaking. Or sometimes they pull up the plugs, and then they clean up the plug. Or they say, oh, the plug is sucking oil, and they change the plug. They have just tweaked it. Okay, so, and that's what we need to do to our lives. You look at yourself. A man said, an unexamined life is not worth living. So from time to time, you examine your life, and then you say, okay, I want to run at a faster speed. I want to improve my efficiency in this particular area. What do? You do a bit of tweaking. It's called tweak because also the word TWEAK is an acronym. Okay, so T stands for thoughts. W stands for words. E stands for energy. And I think it's important we understand that whatever we're doing, we are vibrating energy. I mean, we don't understand that, and that's why we think anything, speak anyhow, not knowing that you are releasing energy into the world, and these energies will bring corresponding energy. If there's a low energy of hate, selfishness, envy, and jealousy, it will simply attract the same. But if you vibrate at a higher frequency where you're positive, where you know that it is not external circumstances that are controlling your life, it is the internal responses you have. Nigeria is the same for everybody, but then people respond in different ways. Okay, then we have A. A is action, because I believe that we need to act more than we know. It's better you have little knowledge, but you act more. And you know as well as I do that there are people who don't even know as much as you do, but they're more daring. They're more daring. They're ready to knock on any door. They're ready to, they go for an event. They're ready to walk up to anybody and introduce themselves. That's action. Okay, so, and then knowledge is key, because knowledge is what regulates all of these things. What you know is your edge. Okay, so that's why it's called Tweak It. And I'm hoping that anybody who picks it is something you can read in a day. You can finish it in a day. And as you finish it, the bigger challenge is taking actions. Okay, so that's basically why it's called Tweak It.
Okay, was there a defining moment I would love for you to share that made you realize this message, this acronym that you've mentioned, needed to be written? Was there something?
Yeah, somewhere last year, I was meditating and then thinking about what the book was going to be called, and then it just came. Once it came, I knew, one, it was going to be catchy. It's a catchy phrase, tweak it. In fact, right now, people are, anytime we say we're going to tweak it. So, and that's one thing about bestsellers. They have titles that you can play with, that draws you. Okay, so, and then beyond the book, we're also going to have, there's what we call the Tweaking Nation, a group of people that subscribe to the ideals of a book. So there was one particular day where it just came, Tweak It. And
you drove with it.
and I ran. I ran with it.
Okay.
I ran with it. We're also working on the workbook, so that if you like, the next edition will have the workbook inside of it. The workbook means that after each chapter, you will have exercises, you have what to do. You can even write inside it. Okay,
Okay.
but it's going to guide you to applying it. Because for me, honestly, I want to get money, but I don't want to get money as much as I want to get changed lives. So if you read this book and it changes your life, I can actually give you back the money with which you used to buy it. The reason is because that change that has occurred is permanent, and it will take you for as long as there's life. And one changed person becomes an ambassador and starts spreading it, and we need it to spread.
Who should actually read this book?
Everybody, but then because we know a lot of people don't like reading, I would like to say everybody should read it, but those who are hungry, those who want to see a transformation, and who don't want abracadabra, people who, because I believe in 3 months, in 6 months, depending on the frequency, depending on the intensity of practice, you can actually transform your life.
Okay.
It doesn't take forever.
You know, there's a difference between information and transformation. So how does a reader move from simply consuming your words, the words that are in this book, to actually embodying the principles within them?
Okay. Now, you see, you read books with an open mind. That's the first thing. For adults, you probably will have to unlearn to learn, because I tell people there are two forms of ignorance. One is simply, I don't know, what you don't know. Okay? The second form of ignorance is worse. In fact, it's very terrible, and that is wrong knowledge. So that's why children simply learn. Adults have to unlearn to learn, because there are deep-seated wrong knowledge that will not allow the new knowledge to come in. Okay? So, a wise man said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be someone who cannot read and write. It will be someone who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Okay, that will be the illiterate of the 21st century. So if you are approaching a book, especially an instructional book like this, dare to be a kind of soft, okay, in your approach. For instance, I go to church, I subscribe to prayer, but I don't believe prayer can solve everything. I believe that knowledge is key. So if you want God to do something for you, it's not just about telling God what to do. God also tells you what to do. And part of what God does, I know a pastor in Enugu here, what it does is that if you come into his office and you complain about something, he recommends a book for you to read. And probably by the time you go half of the book, you have found the solution
To your problem.
and it stays with you. Okay, so let me give you an instance. Let's say your problem is that you are depressed and you're reading the book. Remember, these 5 principles apply to anything. Okay, so at the level of thought, sometimes people who are depressed don't know what caused the depression, but it doesn't mean that there's no cause. It's just that you cannot correlate what you're feeling now with the thoughts that are. That's why somebody does not wake up one morning, take a knife or take a gun and shoot themselves. There's always meditation of suicide. You think about it before it happens. Okay, and then what do you say to yourself? What do you say about yourself? What is your internal framing? Now, there's a conversation going on within us every minute of the day. What we want to know is how positive that conversation is. I tell myself, something good will happen to me every day. Something good will happen to me every day. And I say it because I know that if I say it long enough, every day I'll be seeing good things. Okay, and then you come to the level of energy. You see, there was a time when I thought that if I appeared pitiable, people will help me. But I found out it's not true. In fact, you have to look like you're going somewhere for someone to help you. If people help you out of pity, you can't get anything more than pittance, crumbs. But if you say, I am going to be the best that my generation has ever had, and you take the bold step, let me tell you, forces you don't know is existing will come to your aid. You see people saying, I believe, for instance, you're into children. Come up with something very novel about children. You see somebody who will say, I am with you all the way. You get it?
Yeah.
And then action. So after you've thought about something, what do? You allow it to die? No. You have to act. The day I set the date for that launch was the day it all started. I said, I'm going to do it. And somehow, when I remember how much I have, because we've spent close to 2 million already. Okay. And then somebody is saying, and it's just a launch. What if you don't get the money? It's not about getting back the money. It's about a statement that I have made. Somebody is calling me from somewhere outside of a country. Put the link, let's begin to order for the book. That's how. So action is what ignites everything. In fact, if you don't act, you don't believe.
If you don't act, you don't believe. So what was the most intellectually challenging part of writing this book?
Well, we have AI right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so AI was very helpful. Okay, but at the same time, AI will want to give you his own thoughts. I don't know whether if you've used AI, you find out that you're going to be struggling between originality and what AI is giving you. Over time, AI can now begin to understand your language and then speak in your language. So that was the most challenging thing. And I also think that overcoming myself, there's this song I like, Shine Through. One of the sentences says, if I can only get out of my own way. So sometimes I'm the one blocking myself. I am the one retarding my progress. Everything begins and ends with me. So why did the book take this long? There are a lot of other titles that will be coming on, because right now I understand that, just do it. Whether you're afraid, whether you're hesitant, just do it. Somebody said, do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Do it afraid. And some people think that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is to act in spite of fear.
Yeah.
So the fear is there. I'm like me. Like, I'm afraid of what will happen on Saturday. But are we going to have a lunch? Yeah. We're going to have a lunch. So most people think that those who are making progress are not afraid. They are all afraid. But what do? They say, no, whether I'm afraid or not, I will get it done.
Okay. So did writing this particular book, did it change you in any way?
It changed me. Yes, it did. Because if you're going to teach people, you see the way I talk about the 5 principles is because it has changed me. I'm telling you, it has changed me. Nowadays, I am very careful about what I think about. I don't entertain negative thoughts, dark thoughts. My thoughts must align. That's what it's called, mental alignment. Your thoughts must align not with what is happening, but with what you want to see happen. I don't know, you get it?
Yeah.
If you have, just like, you see, if an architect looks at the plan of a building, he can see the whole rooms. He can, in his mind, because of the way they are trained, he can see all the rooms. That's what you do. Your challenge is to imagine what kind of life you want to. Like, I imagine a Mercedes-Benz car. Now, it's not Jeep, it's car. Car, black, fine, beautiful car. And I'll imagine it until it happens. Okay? Then I imagine myself coming out of a car. People are waiting for me to come and address them. And then I come, people want to have pictures with me because they think I'm a celebrity and all of that.
Are.
Good. I'm imagining it on a big scale.
Okay.
I'm not talking about just Nigeria. I'm talking about the whole world. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So the book changed me because now I think right. I speak right. Now, if you're around me and you say something negative, if I'm in a hurry, I'll leave you. I'll leave there. If I'm not, I'll try to correct you. If you're open, you could learn. Because your thoughts must align, your words must align, the energy you vibrate must align. Now, look at what you expected to do. You've not seen the Mercedes Benz. You've not seen all of those things we imagine. You're supposed to start behaving like it has happened. That's the energy. You're exuding, the confidence that an owner of a Mercedes Benz, brand new Mercedes Benz, has. Then what do? You start taking little steps of action. I mean, it's not even the big thing. Anybody who has succeeded is consistent. That's what it takes. So there are people who they take one giant step, they will not take any other one for 1 year. You will not succeed. But every little step you take on a daily basis is what takes you there. So it changed my life. It changed the way I think.
Okay, if you had to compress the entire message of this book into one powerful statement, what would it be?
Okay, it's very simple. Your thoughts, your words, the energy you radiate and exude, the actions you take is what decides the outcome of your life. That's what the book is all about.
Okay.
Because a lot of people think that I'm just thinking. They don't know that that thought is powerful and it's changing their lives. Now, a lot of people will argue, I am not poor because of what I'm thinking. Even if you were born into poverty, somebody was thinking poverty. That's why you were born into it. Now that you've been born into it, you can decide whether to stay poor or change the way you think. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We are what our thoughts make us. My friend Lofty, he stays in Abuja, he said, the state of the mind is the state of the man.
The state of the mind is the state of the man. Word.
So that he was quoted in this book, because that's basically what it is. I'm not dependent on what is happening in Nigeria. I respond, and with my thoughts, with my words, with my energy, with my action, I change my life.
Okay. So let's talk about the launch. Tweak It. When is it happening and where?
Tweak It is on the 21st of February 2026. It's happening Saturday. At 7 Rangers Avenue, Independence Layout. That's Destiny Live Auditorium. It's a 3-hour program starting at 1, ending at 4. So it's going to be fun. Chief Bennett Tiaba will be doing the keynote speech. And then I have someone I met newly who was ambassador to Nigeria in Australia and to the Pacifics. And he will be the guest of honor. He will be the guest of honor. Now, that also illustrates the power in the book. I met him barely 2 weeks ago, somewhere. What desire does is that it takes you closer to your dreams or brings your dreams closer to you. He was not the only one that attended that event that I anchored. He walked up to me and we exchanged numbers. I chatted him up the next day and that was it. He's launching his book next month. And I told him my own will be launched this month. He said he will be flying in from Abuja just to attend this event. So that's it. It draws it. Your mind is like a magnet. It draws whatever it thinks. It draws the equivalent of what it's thinking. So somebody could say Nigeria is a terrible place, or the world is a terrible place. Some other person will say the world is a beautiful place. Both of them are right, though. The only thing is that which one you believe is what will be attracted to you. I believe the world is a beautiful place, but there are bad people in it. Okay? So what does that do for me? I attract good people with good intentions. And I am the same to a lot of other people. You get it? So,
Yeah.
but if you say the world is a terrible place, well, good
You
luck.
attract terrible
You'll be
people.
attracting terrible people. And they will do terrible things to you.
Okay, to everyone watching, I will need you to answer this question. What book has challenged your thinking recently? And what area of your life currently needs deeper reflection? So you can actually drop your comments and questions on our YouTube page, which is Freedom Square TV, or on our Facebook page, Freedom Square TV. So we still have our guest here, and Uche Umah Gabriel is his name. UcDMc, we usually call him. So what will be your parting words to people who are watching you, people who will be watching this video later? What would be your message to them?
Okay, there's so many things to say, but let me just say that there are two ways you can live. You can live life by design or by default. Most people are living life by default. That's to say, this is what the society has given to me, and I'm stuck. I can't change it. But you can also sit down and use what is called imagination. In the book of Genesis 11, there was a story of the Tower of Babel. It was said of those who were trying to build that tower that this thing that they have imagined to do, nothing can stop them. If not that God confused their language, they will have done it. So what I tell people out there is that whatever you imagine, they say, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So I have imagined, it's just like become the architect of your life. Sit down and draw the plan. It won't happen in a day. It won't happen in a week. But if you are consistent, one after the other, your life. I told somebody, I said, my life has changed. I'm not what you used to know me for. My life has changed. Okay, so anybody can pick up their lives and begin to transform it one bit, one bit, one bit, and then before you know what is happening, you're a role model to all the whole world. It is living by design. That imagination gives you a design. There's a way I cannot see myself now. There's a way I see myself. And that way I see myself is shaping what I believe about myself and who I want to meet, what I want to do, projects I want to undertake. It's in my head, but it's controlling the way I see myself. Now, let's also understand that you must change the inner before you can see the external change. If here changes, the internal, if it changes, everything will begin to change outside. We want to see money. We want to see build a house. We want to do this. But if it doesn't happen internally, it cannot happen physically. That's why we're struggling. And that struggle is because we're not living by design. We're living by default. That's why you see a lot of people in the rat race, hand to mouth, struggling. Your life has a higher purpose. The moment you understand it, okay, God did not send me into this world to just be an ordinary person. There's a purpose for my life. Imagine it. The moment God helps you to imagine it, and then you start allowing that thing, because the more you dwell on it, the more it affects your character. Exactly. You just cease to be who you used to be, and then you take up a new destiny, and like attracts like.
Okay, thank you so much. And for those listening or watching us live on Freedom Square TV, books are not merely products. They are actually conversations across time, and authors are not simply writers. They are custodians of thought, just like we've heard from our guest this afternoon. So I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
For sharing insights, for clarity,
thank you,
for strategy, for not only writing, but also contributing to intellectual culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we wrap up today's edition of Reading Room, one thing is clear. Growth is not accidental. It's a conscious thing. Relevance is intentional. Impact is deliberate. Reinventions is not a sign of weakness. It is actually a sign of wisdom. Remember, if something isn't working, don't abandon the vision. Refine the method, tweak it.
Yeah, tweak it.
So, this is Reading Room, where ideas are examined and minds are expanded. Keep reading, keep growing, keep evolving, read deeply, think critically, and live intentionally. My name is Lilian Ezinwa. Have a wonderful and blessed day.